Hello everyone, this is Douglas E. Welch and this is another episode of In the Garden. For more information you can always visit the website douglasewelch.com. Well, here we are on a rather unseasonable April day. It's actually been kind of damp and gray the last few days. It's actually sprinkling today and maybe get some rain tonight, which is not typical for us here in Southern California. Usually by now we've seen our last rain for the year and it's time to get out the soaker hoses and start watering everything. We're going to start here in the potato beds and sweet potato bed today. Looks like maybe we've got a little bit of trouble in Potato Town. I came out today and noticed that the biggest potato of the lot is getting kind of yellow here, and I'm seeing some dieback on the leaves, and I'm not real sure what's going on. Unfortunately, it looks a little bit blight-like. I hope that's not the case, but definitely I'm going to come in and pinch off the leaves that I'm seeing here that are kind of not in the best shape, and see if maybe there's a way of preventing that from spreading elsewhere in the bed. Again, I have no idea exactly what that is going on there. Things had been getting eat up a little bit, but we'll just have to watch it and see, I guess. Now, in the background, though, you can see the sweet potatoes are going gangbusters. I don't see any problems with them at all. They're looking very good and very vigorous. They do need to be healed up a bit more. I'm actually going to throw some worm castings on here as well, and just to give them a little more nutrients and give them a little better chance of producing a lot of tubers. Just a quick check-in here on our onions. Things are looking pretty good here. I am noticing that some of the foliage is starting to die back, and so once that happens, we'll be ready to harvest these and see what we got. Just looking from the tops, you can see that it looks like it's getting fairly large under there. Maybe you'd like to see them get a little bit bigger yet. As you may have recognized in the opening shot there, our volunteer pumpkin is once again throwing off flowers. Unfortunately, he's only seeing one flower, and from what I've been told, there have to be both male and female flowers on the same plant in order to pollinate. So we probably won't see anything out of this yet, but we'll give it another try this year and see if we can get any actual pumpkins off of these plants. You can see here the Raphiolepis have finished their bloom. These are the dying back flowers, and if I remember correctly, these get a berry on them that some of the birds do like. I have seen them out here nibbling on these bushes once the berries do appear, so it's always good to provide a little bit of food for your wildlife. I like attracting birds and other wildlife to my garden. I don't want it to seem like I'm pointing out nothing but problems here in the garden, but you have to point out what's going on. And here you can see what I believe is black spot. This is a fungal disease that I get pretty much every year, and as I said, it's been rather damp and gray here, and that does tend to lead to more of it appearing on these roses. It's never actually killed the roses or really harmed them much in any way, but it is unsightly and it can spread. So I will go through these roses, I'll pull off these infected leaves and dispose of them, not in the compost bin, but actually make sure they go right into the garden bin that goes back to the city, just so that it doesn't spread any further. Pretty much once we get the heat of the year, this all disappears because it's simply too dry for the fungus to really take hold. Just a quick check-in here on our sword ferns that we planted last week. Things are looking pretty good. They look like they've settled in nicely. I don't see any immediate dieback or anything like that. So hopefully if we get some rain, that'll help to these out even more. They do like a moister environment. This is certainly a shady part of the garden here in the woodland area, so they won't be stressed by sun, but it can be rather dry because of all the tree roots. So we'll keep an eye on these. I'll check in on these over the coming weeks so you can see how they do. Now here's a plant I don't think I've ever shown before in one of my videos. This is brunfelsia, or yesterday, today, and tomorrow. The interesting thing about this plant, and the reason it gets its names, is it blooms first as these kind of dark purple flowers. Then the next day they kind of fade to a lavender, and then finally on the third day they actually turn into these white flowers here. Now this plant is kind of hidden in a side alley that we don't actually use very much. So I really haven't had an opportunity to enjoy this plant very much. This could be a good candidate though, perhaps for some cuttings. I'll look up how to take some cuttings and perhaps propagate this more around the garden. I definitely like the way it looks. I love the blooms. It's kind of ever blooming. These kind of constantly bloom throughout the year as far as I know. So it'd be nice to have it in some more visible parts of the garden where we spend a lot more time instead of here in our kind of disused alleyway on the north side of the house. And to finish off today, the clytostoma has been throwing off quite a few more blossoms. It's always pretty to see these come out. They doesn't get a whole lot of sun here on the trellis where it is, but what part does face the sun blooms very nicely. Again, another potential cutting plant. I haven't gotten around to this one yet, but definitely it's something I'm going to work on. And perhaps for some of the fences in the front part of the garden, we'll have to see where it might fit in best. It does need some support. It can climb somewhat. It has tendrils, but it does seem to need quite a bit of support to hold it aloft. It also needs much more sun than it's getting here. This was a plant that was here when we moved in, and it simply continued on here out of benign neglect. I haven't had much chance to do anything with it, but the future will probably hold a new life for at least some cuttings from this plant. Well, that's it for this episode of In the Garden. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please forgive the traffic noises and the leaf blower noises and everything else. I do live in a very urban area here in the San Fernando Valley, and there are some days I just can't seem to escape the noise. So thank you for forgiving me in advance on that. For more information, you can always visit the website douglasewelch.com. I'd love to hear what's going on in your garden. Please send along video replies, comments on the blog, tweets, Facebooks, Google Pluses, whatever you feel is most convenient for you. Again, I'd love to hear what's going on. Until next time, keep showing me your plants. Hopefully things are blooming in your garden, and keep digging.